My name is AksharTank, and I would be presenting injecting automations into bug bounties, right? So basically, this talk would be around not that much of technical standpoint that how we can do this and that. It would be more focused around that why and how should we do this. Okay. So without getting into jargons, a little bit about myself. I am a security engineer currently working at Mobicody Softech. I have more than 3 years of experience. To be honest, I would be more into love into bug bounties, but as we all know, that with the time we like to switch or as well as try to see other fields just to get a bit of taste. So currently I'm doing DevOps automations and code reviews is what I'm liking more these days. Apart from that, I'm really active into bug bounties. Firstly, I hunted on mostly HackerOne and Bugcrowd, but now I'm mostly active on Synec, currently having level 4. And apart from all these tech jobs, I like to play games, of course, and I play Apex Legends. So if you want to say hi there, this is my ID. Okay, so let's start with the actual talk itself. So whenever you are doing a black box pen testing, you don't know what might be the code behind or what is lying behind and how you want to test it, right? But let's try to shift left and try to think as a developer, right? That while coding, we know that most of the developers share the same mindset. If not say 100% of the developers, but at least the team of that specific company of that specific project have a same mindset, right? So you can think that a code written at one place would be similar to the other functionality, right? Let's say access control on one API will be same as access control code on another API, right? And more to add on to this, the company, I mean, many companies have guidelines that how the other developers should code. So this also contributes to the first factor that most of the coding patterns will be same throughout a application, right? So and moreover, we know that Stack Overflow is there to copy the code. I mean, one can copy the code of another person, and that goes on, right? And also, just to add on that, whenever someone copies the code, that code is not actually verified that whether it is secure or not, which adds to more vulnerability. So I guess that this leads to same mistake over and over and over again at multitude of places. If someone is here pen tester, then they might be knowing that they are able to find same type of bugs with same trick throughout many of the projects or throughout many of the applications, right? Sorry. So why this is so? I mean, there should be a reason, right? So the biggest reason is that they lack the mentality of shift left. Basically, shift left is a mentality where you continuously push your code and pass it through the security controls so that such low-hanging fruits such as let's say a SQLi or easy to find XSS or even let's say some vulnerabilities that are present in the project. Many of you might be knowing that software composition analysis and tools such as SAST can find low hanging fruits really easily. Just a second. So most I can say that not most of the companies, but more around 50% of the companies lacks the SDLC control in their environment. And basically, there are no SAST tools, DAS tools, SAS means static analyzer or dynamic analyzer to eliminate such low-hanging vulnerabilities. So what happened is that whenever a project is I say design phase or let's say budget allocation phase, there is no budget for security itself. And let's say once there is a security incident, then 90% or even let's say 50% is given to of the security is given to the security of that project, right? Everyone might be knowing the Uber hack, right? Even though they are extremely I would say well defined in their security. They have their bug bounty platform and everything. They got hacked, and just after some days there were many security openings into Uber. So even let's say if it's Uber, then you might be able to think that how would be the scenario for the company that are not that much security advanced. Okay, so let's this was all the reason, right? But the talk is about automation into pen testing. So okay, let's start from here. And feel free to ask any question into the comment box. So just I can see that if you have any questions, we can address it in between. Okay, so the automation part, right? That, but let's take a step before and try to think that whenever we do a pen test, we do some tasks such as reconnaissance of the scope, or let's say some fingerprinting and that all stuff. Let's say listing subdomains or code scanning or checking the service that they offer, the legendary dash as we flag of Nessus to find the version, then to try to find the vulnerabilities around that. So that are the tests I guess most of the people might be doing, right? And let's say the second step is after fingerprinting, that if you see a Cisco ASA product, you would see part traversal, right? Let's say if it is a Firebase database, that is you have that URL extracted from the Android app, then it would be the you would be checking that .json endpoint is accessible or not. Just to give you an idea that in Firebase database, if let's say you have set the visibility to public, then just by adding /.json, you can access the whole database. But mostly it's kind of a rare vulnerability these days. And the final is that let's say if there is a service such as an FTP service, you can check whether anonymous works or not. Or let's say for SSH, you would be checking root to admin 123 test such passwords. So I guess as far as I understand black box pen testing, I think that this could be easily automated. But and as they are so much time consuming, and we have deadlines, right, to meet the targets that at this particular time we need to deliver the project. So instead of wasting this time, we can automate it easily, right? So how can we do this? Let's see. Okay, so before we dive into that specific part, I just wanted to give some reality checks into this. That many of people might be thinking that automation is so much boring, or even coding is so much boring. And from the starting, we have been feed this agenda that coding is not necessary in pen testing. But everyone knows that after some years, there would be this reality check that coding is actually necessary, even if you don't are not as hardcore as a developer. Uh, just by knowing a little bit of coding here and there, it can make your life much better, right? So back on the topic that many people might be thinking that no, we don't want to do that. Let's grab some automation framework and we'll be good to go with it, right? But just to be clear more on that, that this type of frameworks are not contextual aware. I mean, what type of testing you might be doing or whatever type of let's say test cases you might be following, they might be doing not doing that because they are not contextually aware with that. Okay, second thing is that that automation might be using, let's say, a word list that is quite huge. Let's say the size is in MBs, right? And you might not want to flood your target with some irrelevant data. So rather than using that, I say that automation is much better, right? The last point is that this leads to much noise, right? That I mean, your client might not be liking it. That you are sending 500 or 600 requests per second, which is not wise, right? So, and that is quite less efficient. So, yeah. So, the light bulb moment, I would say that let's say, what if some basic checks, as I mentioned, the service scan, finding vulnerabilities related to that, or even let's say making a word list out of the application itself, how you can automate it, right? So it might be that a 5-minute task can take hours to automate, but collectively if you add up the time in the, I would say, future, then it would be quite efficient. I have followed this approach by myself when I was starting as a pen tester. And to be honest, some automation scripts that I have built in my initial days are still relevant today, even though I just had to change some nitpicks here and there, but they still are working, right? Uh, Let me give you a specific example that how can you approach to make this type of automation. So I have divided into two parts. Let's say that many times it happens that, let's say if you are in a product based company, you might be stick to a particular stack, right? A tech stack. Let's say it could be mean stack, month stack, right? So you might be knowing that you are going to work only on this stack, so you can build your automation around it. Like, let's say if it is a node application, you can write test cases according to it, and then you can write your automation into that. Let's say if your application is .NET, you can write your test cases around that, right? So the biggest, let's get on with an example. So I guess the biggest proof for this is that other MobeSF. Everyone might have used using MobeSF, right? That in Android pen testing. So it just disassembles the file and they give you all the content out in a nice way, so that it could be processed by you for manual analysis, right? But let's say you are working in a service-based company. They in many companies follows a checklist, or even they let it on the pen tester itself that what they want to test, right? So let's say if the pen tester is using OWASP top 10 framework, then he can write a little scripts in Bash or in Python or any language of your choice. That these are some of the tests that I want to do. Let's say I want to check SQL injection in each and every parameter, each and every header. Let's see if it is a REST API, then each and every item that is present into that. Right? So you can do that with I can share some ideas in the end of that in this presentation that how you can do that. Okay, uh, just one thing. Please feel free to drop any of the, I would say, questions if you have. I would be I mean it won't interrupt the presentation. Okay, so back onto the presentation. A simple bash line, one-liner that I had written in my initial days, that it would, let's say I want to collect as much subdomains as I want to. I guess in when I was starting, there were no sub tools such as All for One or Subfinder that are great for, I mean, they are in itself a framework to do that single job, but they were not available at that time. So what I did was this ugly, sorry, ugly bash line. That what it do is that basically it gets domains from search spotter, cert.sh, as well as the DNS overrun, right? And what it would do that it would process it, and let's say I have given my a list of domains. Let's say a.com, b.com, c.com. So the final file that would be I would be getting would be like second level subdomains, third level, or even fourth level if they are present in this data set. So in future, let's say whenever I got that pen test which wide scope, I used to use this bash runner to dump as much as data as I want. This is the second example that I was using. I'm not currently using it, but it was in again starting this. That let's say if I'm getting a domain, I would be feeding this domain into this I would say script. What it would do is list out subdomains for me from sublister, as well as DNS overrun, as well as EMAS, right? And let's say once everything is done, I would be getting a clean output in a, I would say, txt file, which I can later feed on to the next part. So it was a part of the whole framework that I built, and it was again same as this bash liner, but it was a little bit of neat and clean format, which I later evolved. So I would say that the aim of to show this to example is that how I went from this to this is all because I had that mentality that I don't want to do some boring task. I easily could have I want to go into the rabbit hole of finding a deserialization vulnerability rather than finding as much domains as I want. So this was a little bit of dirtier version, And the second example was much cleaner. And let's say if I want to share my code with someone to, I would say, edit it or let's say elongate the script, then I could easily have done it, right? So this was for the recon part. Now let's say for the actual exploitation. Okay, so there was this when I was working in IBM. I mean, before this, I was working in IBM with one of our big client, which was in telecom industry, and they had their app, one of the feature that let's say if you have a discount coupon, you can get the discount by applying the same code, right? And what I was able to find that that same coupon can be used for multiple times. I just wanted to just want to change the two digits, and I could keep circling it over and try to get as much as discount on a subscription plan as I want. So what happened was that I reported this, that first of all there is this rate limiting, and second that there is this discount coupon that has this business logic vulnerability. So instead of rate limiting the endpoint as well as to uh, fix the logic of a discount coupon generation, what developer do is implement just a CSRF token. So let's say if I click once and submit the discount coupon, at the second time it won't be giving me the CSRF token, and I won't be able to submit it the next time. So I guess that fix was a bit bizarre and not secure. So what I did was that I took the request, uh, put it into the call command. I mean, I was using Bash at that time. Now I have mostly shifted towards Go. I use a bit of Python, but I think that Go is much better nowadays. And yes, what I did was I put the request to the call, and fetch the CSRF token, and again fetch this. I mean, another put this CSV table with that curl command and look that over. So there's just this 7 lines of code give me the ability to let's say grab as much as discount as I want. So actually, this was the thing, and later even the developer didn't realize that he need to fix it, but after some escalations, he did fix it, right? Okay, so this was a bit about my journey. I mean, how I was able to do such things and everything. The thing is that how you can start building your automation. I mean, let's say even the little scripts, I would won't say that they're automation. They are just the scripts that make your life easy. Okay, so I would suggest that first of all, start learning a language such as Bash or Python. Even if you are good to go with Ruby or any of the language that can leverage the your computing power as much as you can, then I guess learn that. Okay. The second thing is that start make a list of, I would say, a checklist that or the list of checks that you do every time. Let's say you check for SQL injection in each and every parameter. Okay. Let's say you find you want to find reflection. Let's say you pass a canary into a parameter. Let's say ABCD, and the same is reflected in the response. So everyone might be doing that. It's for XSS, right? And once this list is built, so I guess then you need to give a thought that how you can automate it with your the language that is run. As I told that in initial time, the code would be quite dirty. I mean, if a developer sees that, they would be like, you don't know how to code. But I guess I would say that keep it unless, as we all know, that if it works, don't touch it. Okay, so try to use it in your day-to-day life, and with the time just try to develop it. Okay, and let's say when those checks are up and running, combine the relevant scripts together so that you can have a whole set of framework. I would say that just in days or weeks you won't be able to build a whole your framework, but little by little, within some months or let's say even a year or so, you would have a chunk of little scripts that work together and make your life easy. So let me share some ideas that how you can, I would say, make implement some things in your own uh, automation framework. So first thing is that you can make some fuzzing scripts or fuzzy scripts. Basically, a fuzzer is a program that throws random input at a particular place and let's say processes, or I would say hold that data, the response into a particular place. I would say process because if you might be knowing what to expect in return, you can process it and just you can save the relevant output data, or let's say you can store it as the responses and could later I would say that you can process that. Okay, so let's say such programs can be made that make hold request as an argument with the word list of your choice. Okay, as well as let's say you want to check it on the time that what the data is going, you can simply proxy your data through bug and examine the response. Let's say if you don't want to save it somewhere else. You can do it in Bar. I have done it many times that I made some SQL fuzzy scripts and passing my all of the data through Bar so that I can have all the record that I have did it on the client, and it could be passed on to someone else so that I can also show that I have tested this. Okay. Now let's say you have made these scripts, and with the time you can change. As I mentioned again, that changes can be made according to that vulnerability found. Okay, if it is XSS, you can let's say instead of passing a canary, you can have a word list that is of XSS payload, and this script would throw all the payloads to that functionality particularly. I would say not to go harsh on the application because it might crash and again we can be in hot waters. Second thing is that you can find vulnerabilities from the historical data itself. I guess everyone might be knowing that Wayback URLs, Alien Vault, and there are many other services that holds historical internet data. For example, what Gmail looks now in the present day, uh, and if you compare it with what it might be looking in 3 or 4 uh, years ago before, it might be completely different. So this data is stored somewhere, right? So you can fetch it. Let's say you can use this wayback URLs as well as alien word to get it. There is a tool called GAU, which get all the URLs from both of the data source, so that you don't have to go all around. Okay. Now let's say you can parse it, and once it is parsed, let's say for parameters or even for URLs or even for JS files, let's say you want to mine secrets from it, uh, just to give a context that this idea could be used well versed in let's say if you're hunting for vulnerabilities in a bounty platform, or let's say on a bug bounty program, it could be useful for you. And let's say now you can process, and back to the idea that you can process such I would say params and data to find vulnerability out of it. Okay, then I would say that let's say you are getting all these URLs, but you want to find SQL injection in each and every parallel. Just one thing that everything of here would be just in form of URL. So in case you want to find post parameters, then you need to fuzz it that which parameters are working, right? But let's stick on to the URLs only. You can pass it to the SQL method for just the detection phase. I won't suggest to go until the exploitation phase because it would create hundreds or thousands ones of requests, and even the WAF can block you, the client can block you, or anything can happen. So I would say that, and then once the detection is confirmed, you can go for the exploitation part by yourself manually. Okay, same ideology as I told that could be used for XSS. Get all the URLs, get your script to process every parameter, uh, get your word list for the payloads, and enter it into its parameters and run it. And just try to save the response for later examination. Okay. Uh, we are approaching at the end of the talk. Again, questions are welcome in between as well. And again, this was just my talk till now was just focused on what scripts can you make, but also it might happen that we don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? So there are some really good tools available in the open source community, such as Ferox Buster, FFUF, GAU, Nuclei, SubFinder, DNSX, you name it. I mean, the tool that you can imagine is already might have been built out with much efficiency that you can imagine, right? What you can then do is that you can take out those tools, make I would say assembly line out of it, and in the end you can get something very valuable for your test. For example, you can get list of subdomains for, let's say, from subfinder. Then from Gov, you can get historical data for all that subdomains. Then you can grab for JS files. Okay, let's say once you get all the JS URLs, you can fetch those and could feed into Trufflehog. Actually, Trufflehog is a tool that find high entropy data. Entropy means complex strings. Basically, just to be simple, that high entropy strings from the code, and then you can check that whether that particular key is working or not. Let's say for Google Gmaps key or Google Project key, it's right from AI's ID, right? And then a string goes on. You can even grab this JS files if you have downloaded it for a particular set of keys. There is a project called GF, which is made by Tom Nomno, and you can, I guess, take it. What it would do is that it have already made regex for some particular keys. You can run it on this uh, all the GS files. So Trufflehog as well as GF. Okay, so last but not least, I would say this might be the most important part. Let's say if you have built your automation, keep these things in your mind that automation is here to help you, right? It's like your assistant that can do just 1 or 2% or even 10% of your work, but not whole itself. uh, you can rely on the exploitation of the tools itself, but I would say that it could create a whole lot more of this false positives that you need to again tackle. I mean, you of course want to observe the or process the output of your automation. Second thing is that over reliance could generate a lot of false positives and could as well as miss critical vulnerabilities. As we all know that logic vulnerabilities or IDORs or even, let's say, RCs, low hanging fruits such like upload file vulnerabilities or anything could be easily missed by these automations, because every application have different logic of how such vulnerabilities could be exploited, right? So I guess it, of course, needs some manual intervention. And last but not the least is manual testing could never be could I would say, if even if it's a AI or ML model that wants to pen test an application, it can't do it because of course it won't be contextually aware, and the application might be 10, 20, 30, 100 pages, but the AI won't be having that much data to process. So I guess manual testing is the best, and it can't be replaced. But again, automation can help you to just lay off some of the your burdens. Okay, I guess I have finished my talk. This is my Twitter URL if you want to have some questions or do want to have something here. Uh, I'm open for questions. I guess we have a bit of time, and I can address those. Yes, yes, of course. GitLab, as you might be knowing that GitLab supports webhooks, right? Or let's say, just to be bit clear that any integration possible with pipelines like GitLab. So you want the uh, again, I'm just a bit of confused that any integrations possible with pipelines like GitLab. Yes, I guess GitLab have some webhooks functionality, which can pull data or even can take data from APIs, which can then be fed to GitLab issues. I guess this is what you are asking, Jorge, right? That you want to take issues from your framework or any of the framework and want to post it as GitLab issues without doing it one by one. Yes, yes. That there is, as I mentioned, uh, that if you have that, let's say once a DevOps engineer has made the whole DevOps pipeline, then you can integrate some SaaS tools such as checkmarks or even some open source, or let's say if you're using some, I guess, yes, it's in GitHub. Let's say your pipeline is made in the GitLab itself, right? So what you can do is that you can use SemGrep or even some code analysis tools such as checkmarks, Sonar, and some dash tools to verify that if you have any vulnerabilities or not. So that concept whole falls under the DevSecOps pipeline. And I guess what you can do is that to secure a pipeline, let's say, for example, your application is written in Node or even a specific language. You can Google it out that are there any static or dynamic analyzers for that code or not. And then you can plug it in your GitLab CI/CD pipeline, which can find some issues. And with the help of GitLab webhooks, you can create issues out of that. I hope that I answered that question. Yeah, exactly. So actually, CodeQL came into my mind, but I guess the question is for GitLab, and CodeQL is currently only available for GitHub, I guess. Yes, it's GitHub for only GitHub. So making it, he might need to switch everything from GitLab to GitHub to use CodeQL as well as GitHub Actions, which I guess is also a quite big step in terms of DevSecOps. No worries, Jorge. Anyone having any other question, or can we wrap up? Okay, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me give this talk. I really appreciate everyone present here, as well as B-Sides team. If you have any questions, you can just drop me a, I mean, just message me or do anything on the Twitter, and I would be happy to help. Bye. Bye, everyone.